good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are. I've got my coffee today. Hopefully you guys have something fun for you to drink and or eat. We've got a great group with you today, and this is a topic that is, I think, going to be really fun because it's a little beyond a lot of us in terms of how to use Instagram in real estate. But we've got two experts with us today, Michael Tomasetti and Michael Glazer from Back at You. Michael Glazer, I think, is just coming back in. He had some technical difficulties, but we got Michael Tomasetti with us. But before we jump in, I just wanted to remind everybody, if you haven't been here before, I know many of you are probably using Zoom more these days. If you look at the GoToWebinar control panel, you'll see a little blue line or blue stripe that has the word questions on it. And next to it, there's a little gray triangle. If you click on that little gray triangle, it opens it up. And then you can ask us a question at any time. And we highly recommend that you do ask questions because we got two experts here. Let's take advantage of it, right? I wanted to say hello to a few of our regulars, Philip and Mary. Thank you so much. And Robert, great to see you again. So let's just jump in. And let me just officially introduce everybody. So Michael Glazer is the founder and CEO of Back at You. Michael Tomasetti is the head of video production and knows a ton about this crazy thing called Instagram. So thank you guys for being here today. And I thought before we jump in, and Michael Tomasetti, we have three Michaels on this today, by the way, so it's a little crazy, but Michael T, why don't you just give us a little bit of an overview of what Back at You is and how it helps realtors, because I think it's a service that a lot of us could probably use. So go ahead.
Sure. Well, actually, Michael
Glazer joined, having some technical problems,
but Michael G, sure. Go for it.
Yeah, a lot of Michaels here. Holy cow! Well, thank you everybody for being here, and thanks Marilyn for organizing this. It's great to be here. Just quickly, who Back at You is, and then we'll kind of jump into Instagram and why it's so important and why you were here announcing, I think, this great opportunity and one of the first of its kind. In social media is to have this automated access to Instagram. But first, on the Back at You, we are a social media company. We've been around for 9.5 years, focusing on real estate and social media. So when it comes to this space and this technology, we like to think we're kind of the best out there. We have been vetted by the National Association of Realtors, so we are an NAR member benefit. We also are an official Facebook marketing partner. We call it an FMP, which is really important because that gives us access to the Instagram API. So Back at You has been working with real estate agents and brokers from an enterprise brokerage level and from an individual agent level for many years. And excited to be here to tell you kind of what we're up to and some of this exciting announcements. So thank you, Marilyn, so much for this.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. I was saying earlier that Instagram is clearly not one of my strong suits, so I'm really excited to hear from you guys. So before we jump in, I'm going to put up a slide, but let's ask the fundamental question. Actually, I have two fundamental questions for you, but the first one is, why should any realtor even care about Instagram? What is it and why does it matter? And who does it matter to? Let's start there.
Well, first, again, this is Michael Glazer. Instagram access has been our #1 request for the last 1.5 years. So, we work with, about over 100,000 agents and a few hundred brokerages. This has been our #1 request. And the problem is that Facebook, who owns Instagram, has not allowed companies to automatically post anything on Instagram. So you can pay for an advertisement, they'll take your money, no problem. And a lot of us do that. So paying for a post or an ad on Instagram has been around, but the automated post where everybody here on the phone doesn't have much time. Maybe Instagram and social media isn't their skill set. I get it. You have other things that are probably more important, but it's a necessary evil to do, right? Is to be out there, be active, and brand yourself. So. Correct. So that's been kind of like the hindrance.
So who's on Instagram? What kinds of customers would I be attracting if I'm on Instagram?
Well, 75% of Instagram users are 18 to 24. However, that's that. So if you do have a younger demographic, it's another. There he is. Hello, Michael Glazer. So if you do have a younger demographic, it's definitely where you want to be. But I think kind of to Michael Glazer's point, I mean, it is owned by Facebook. So there's a lot of great integration that you can use. So it's not an entirely, let's say, foreign platform like TikTok, for example. So it's already integrated with some of the Facebook functionality, and it should be an easier transition there to use. But it is a younger demographic. However, there are over 1 billion monthly users on the platform, so it's not to be underestimated.
Gotcha. Okay, so, and I asked a question of Michael Tomasetti right before we got on the call, and then we'll jump into Instagram specifically. But, one of the questions I think that a lot of us face with trying to do so many things, in addition to trying to be, it's an expert's an overstatement, but at least participant in social media. Do you guys recommend that, people on the call, would they want to ideally try to cover, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter and try to do all of them equally? Or do you suggest that they kind of commit to one of them at some level and go a little bit deeper on that one? Or is it somewhere in the middle?
Sure. So everybody may have their own answer here, but I'm a big fan of doing something really good. And so if you're just comfortable with Facebook or LinkedIn, or Instagram, just do one thing and do it really good. Now, if you have more time or more resources and you can branch out, hey, all the power to you. I think definitely hit the top social networks. That would be kind of Facebook and Instagram. But just if you're doing it yourself, just pick at least one and just kill it there. Now, there's services we're included where you can schedule your post, connect to all your social networks. So your listing post then goes out to a Facebook, goes out to Instagram, goes to LinkedIn, may go to Twitter. Just makes your job a lot easier. So a lot of different options out there. And Tom, so what's your kind of view on that? Do you have a preference?
That's exactly what I told Marilyn there. I was like, if you're doing it by yourself, then you just want to pick one, and that might just be Facebook for a lot of you, and that's fine. Facebook is the largest social network in the world. There's no reason why you shouldn't be on there. But if you just have one, I would say just pick that.
Gotcha. Okay. Whoops. All right. So let's get into Instagram. Let's assume that. It's funny. My daughter's a dancer, and Instagram is very big for teens, of course. And there was a little boy who was the daughter or the son of some choreographers, and he followed. There was about 400 kids in the audience, and he said, "Please follow me on Instagram." So every time I hear the word Instagram, I hear Instagram in my head. I'm sorry about that, but tell us that, like, so personal versus business, like there is different ways to do this, right? Like is this the right way to do it is to go more on the business side, it sounds like, correct?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, this is something that some of you may know, some of you may not know, but you can have a personal and then you can have a business Instagram account. And for our purposes, for what we use it for, and for what you're out there, if you're new to Instagram, I think if you have a real estate business, you should be using a business account rather than a personal. There's certain things you can do from a business account that you cannot do on a personal. Namely, I think the largest sort of takeaway is tracking analytics. And being able to look at the growth. You can say how effective is a post, and you can really track the analytics, and then also run some advertising as well.
Gotcha. So you can kind of after a while, get a sense of the kinds of things that the people that you're attracting would be interested in hearing from you. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that. So analytics and advertising. What does that mean? Like, what should we be looking for? How do we use this effectively in real estate?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing that you want to see is in terms of engagement. So, obviously you can just look at the post itself to look at likes, comments, and shares. But the analytics, the deeper in-depth analytics through Instagram's Business Ads Manager is going to give you demographics. So how many people from your area have looked at it? Are there people from outside of your area? How many people came to your page maybe, but just kind of looked, but maybe didn't click? So it gives you a larger standpoint, sort of a behind the scenes thing, rather than just the immediate engagement and activity that you've had. And
in the analytics, does it give you, like, how granular do they get? Does it tell you, or is there any overlay of interest? So these people that clicked on this are interested in real estate, or they're a renter, or they own a home, or do you get any of those kinds of demographics, or is it more sort of regional and things like that?
It is tend to be more regional. However, I think for certain people you can follow or understand sort of the types of hashtags, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, sort of their interests as related to Instagram rather than, maybe sort of a broader thing in terms of are they renters or homeowners.
Gotcha. And do we want to talk at all about Instagram stories that you mentioned that on the bottom there?
We will. I mention it here because they are important to have in terms of advertising. I want to touch on that briefly, but we are going to come back to that because I'm going to talk about what makes a good Instagram story and how is that different than a post.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if I can jump in, you remember, so you have Facebook, right, which you have a lot of friends and family on, right? And then you have your business pages, which presumably when you advertise and you post goes to this network. So, and then a lot of links right there. Now look at Instagram. Instagram is image centric, right? It's all about your images. It's definitely, obviously demographics are important, but people are finding you through like hashtags and interests, right? So that's kind of a really big difference between Instagram and Facebook is, who you're going after and who's following you. People will follow you, they'll find you based off of like hashtags and interests that they're searching for. That's how they'll follow you. So really a big difference of who your followers are on Facebook business page and an Instagram business page. And the types of content you can post, totally different. When we have new users from Facebook that are going on to Instagram, they're like, how come I can't click this and fill out a form? Well, because you can't do that in Instagram, right? So, correct. So I'll let you, sorry to interrupt.
That's an excellent segue into the types of posts.
Yeah, before we jump there, Crystal has a question, and this is something we might have to take offline, Crystal, but it's a really good question. She said, although I use my IG account as a business account, I think it's probably a personal account. How do I go about changing that? Do I have to like get rid of that page and start over, or is there a way to convert it once you've got a page that's active? That's a really good question.
Yeah, there is a way to convert it. So that's, like a lot of us, if you're just starting an account for the first time, you just start the account, right? But if you're serious about switching it and using it from a business standpoint, there is a way that you can just simply transfer your account and kind of designate it as a business account.
You don't have to lose all of your engagement and followers. They just come with you. Move. Got it. That's great.
Sure.
Yeah, and Crystal, there's probably, I'm going to volunteer you guys. If you needed help doing that, if you have any questions, I would guess that they can help you make that move. Is that okay, guys? I just volunteered you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a link we can send and, chat afterwards too and give you my contact info.
Okay, great. All right, so let's jump over to where you were going next, Michael Tomasetti, because there's some interesting comments and thoughts about how to use Instagram and what you can and cannot post here.
Yeah, so Michael Glazer kind of set it up here well in terms of talking about the kind of posts that you can post here, which Instagram favors, right? Photos and videos. If it's not clear, I know I didn't mention this earlier, Instagram is a mobile-only app, right? You can view it on a desktop, but you cannot post from a desktop. So that is a change from other networks. So to that point, right? Photos and videos are the two most popular posts that you can have. It's a visual platform, right? However, an interesting point to point out here is video continues to be on the rise. We might think of Instagram as just kind of, nice looking images. However, videos are going to give you more engagement. In fact, 38% more, and will give you double the amount of comments. So if you're not using video yet, use Instagram. You have a minute-long segment to kind of put a video in there, and so I want to address that. In terms of the captions that you have here, to make sure that your content is seen, you want to ask questions, use hashtags, we'll talk about hashtags, and then also emojis to increase your engagement. Those are all kind of known ways to increase your engagement there.
So let's talk specifically about video for a minute. Video is another sort of black hole for us in real estate, right? We all know we should do it, but what does that mean? So what kinds of videos? You guys are working, it sounds like you said, with hundreds of brokers, 100,000 agents. Is it property video? And is it, if so, is it just a subset of sort of a virtual tour? Or what kind of video would you suggest that people try to perfect for Instagram?
Well, I am in charge of creating a lot of the video content, all of the video content here back at you. And the video posts that we've seen to be the most successful are helpful tips. So like a top 3 ways to refinance your home, or 3 things to know to, for first-time home buyers. Those are going to be the most engaged and viewed videos because they're informative and they're also relating to the industry. If you are an agent or a realtor out there, I think a video that could really serve you well is giving a tour of a property, right? Or maybe talking a little bit about yourself, or talking about your credentials, or calling out maybe other people in your community. So, the old kind of take your phone and just chat to the camera there, it's going to be effective. That kind of face-to-face communication is something that you can do. You can still do with your community that, a company like Back at You, we can kind of set you up there and make sure your content's seen, but sort of that face-to-face interaction is still going to be key and vital to do.
And
Well,
another video we
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Another great video that we've seen actually has been used widely and super successful is when an agent goes to a listing and they just highlight one feature. Like, what's that cool feature? Is it the swimming pool, or is it the tile they're using, or the fireplace? Just highlight that one feature for like 10 seconds, give a little tease, and post it. Does wonders. It's a really great way of doing it. It's not necessarily walking through the whole house, and touring it. It's give that tease about one cool feature, right? And then just keep it short, right? The attention span isn't there. So we've seen that used and be very successful.
Does it matter if the realtor themselves is on camera, or is it better to just show whatever that they're talking about on camera? Like the tools.
Either one, right? I mean, up to you.
So you have to know one thing here too, is that video defaults without sound on Instagram. So if you see a face there talking, you're going to be more engaged to want to click on it versus something that's maybe like an inanimate object. Granted, a cool pool is still going to be a cool pool, but if you have the ability and you want to be on camera, that is going to make you be seen more than something else. Yeah.
Gotcha. So for some of you that might have been with us, we actually had Bomb on the show a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking a lot, of course, about video because that's what they do, and they had a lot of the similar kinds of advice about sort of the I don't know if the right word is organic, but don't worry about this being a Hollywood production, right? It's your Instagram, or it's your company's Instagram, and you can give your company a face, and an engaging face, by using video in a way that's much more homespun, so to speak. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, authenticity is key. You bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk. Is there anything else we want to talk about in terms of the types of content that? So one of the things that I asked Michael T before the show is, do you need to, before you start a sort of a path down, your Instagram program, do you need to sort of think about the types of content? In other words, do you kind of build a theme? I don't mean a visual theme, a visual as well, but more like, okay, every Tuesday I'm going to post a virtual tour-esque type video, and every Wednesday I'm going to do something that's me talking about some, one of those tips and tricks kinds of videos you were talking about. Do you have to sort of lay out the format ideally, or do you just kind of let it roll as it makes sense and as something that's truly authentic and kind of happens in real time? What's your feeling about that?
In terms of like creating a maybe personalized content calendar that you'd want to do. If you have the time to do that, by all means. I would say, instead of having to pick out maybe your entire week, you could do one that's like a feature of the week Friday, and maybe every Friday it's your feature of the week, where you talk about a different feature of a home. I think that would be, if you're just getting started out, just stick with that one. If you have time and you want to expand on that and do a Thankful Tuesday, where you reach out and thank people who have helped you in the industry, by all means you can do that. But I think if you start out there, just pick one thing, and then also use that hashtag, feature of the week Friday, and then that will also help gain your following there too, where you're continuing to post, use a hashtag, and build brand consistency.
So just posting once a week would be okay as a start?
I would say yes, if you're gonna, yes. And then
'Cause
posting once a
that's
week, but then also as things come up, you have the consistency where you're posting that once a week, but then as other things come up, you would post them.
And one other question on video. In this time, we've talked a lot on the show about the types of communication that you do have to be different and much more sensitive and not so me, bye, right? Because just doesn't fly right now. But what are you seeing working well right now in terms of the types of content on Instagram that's getting engagement and helping realtors to be successful?
I think it's communicating directly with their client base and their following. So it's saying it's things like this, like chatting maybe with other people in the industry, hearing their points of view, getting a perspective from them, really being a friendly, helpful face to maybe offer a virtual chat or a virtual coffee chat. That has been really successful with some of the agents and realtors that we've talked about. So you could post about that. You could even go Instagram Live. I know we haven't talked about that live yet. You go Instagram Live and you're just chatting and talking with your community. I've seen so many Instagram Lives during this time, and it's a great way to speak directly to your audience and be there for them and engage in a way that is present and not maybe overly pushy or salesy in a way that you don't feel like you need to be right now.
And if you had to choose one live, would you choose Facebook Live or Instagram Live if you haven't done either of them so far?
Let's see. I would do if you haven't done any, I would do Facebook Live. I would
Okay.
start with Facebook Live. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it depends where your audience is too, right? So it depends where
Okay.
depends where you're following. Otherwise, you're talking to nobody.
Fair.
Right. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's a different conversation, but yeah, that makes sense. Wherever you feel most comfortable, that's where you should focus. When we first started Coffee Chat, as an example, we talked about going to Facebook Live instead of the format we're using with GoToWebinar, and I was like, I'm more comfortable here. Our audience is more comfortable here. I'm staying here. Doesn't mean it was right or wrong. It's just that's the choice we made, and it's working great. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what makes sense for you, right?
Sure.
So let's talk about hashtags now. One of the things I asked Michael T. before the show is, I said, can you explain what a hashtag is and why we should care and what types of hashtags make sense in real estate?
This was such a I didn't realize maybe just from my background how much of a common question this was within the community. So much so that we even have a vlog that we addressed called how to use hashtags. Hashtags, if you don't know, for it goes out there, I know you've all seen them. It's using that pound symbol, right, and then kind of a string of words all put together, right? Can't use any spaces; they all have to be compacted. So a hashtag is a way; it's sort of a signifier or a tag that is used to talk around a specific topic. So hashtag real estate, right, is going to be all posts related to real estate. I'm not saying you should use that hashtag because that is so broad, right? However, if you're going to use a hashtag for your posts, I'd say use hashtag real estate Los Angeles, hashtag real estate Trenton, New Jersey, right? Wherever you're located in. So you're really kind of getting down to a tag that's going to serve you in your community. So
and would you mentioned some of those about sort of the how-to videos and something like that, would you tag that differently? Like what would you, if I was doing a video on, I don't know, the 3 best ways to make my kitchen contemporary today for home buyers or something like that, like how would you use a hashtag for something like that?
I would do hashtag how to kitchen or kitchen makeover. That's going to really serve you well. And then what would be another good one? You could also use wherever you're based there, you could do, kitchen Kansas City,
Okay, Robert Alexander has a very important comment. He said, hashtag geez, we are getting old. Speaking for myself. So this one of the reasons, Robert, why I love folks like Michael and Michael is that they have figured out all this crazy stuff that is probably never going to be something you're going to wake up in the morning and go, wow, I've got a great idea for Instagram. It may not be where you go, but it's still important, right? So why would you try to learn this when there's people like Michael and Michael that live, sleep, eat, and breathe this stuff all day long? Like let them help us, right? Not trying to pitch back at you, but I just think reality is that this stuff changes so often and so quickly. And if it's not what you do for a living, like let someone that it is their job to make it easier for those that just aren't there full time, right? Anyway, so let's talk about Instagram stories now. This is an interesting concept that happens within Instagram too.
Sure. So,
Michael, Mike, so real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but going back to hashtags again, this one last point, that the reason why it's important for you to add hashtags, and the magic number's around 7, right? Is that's how people find you and find what they're interested in. So that's what's so important about hashtags. How do people find you? Well, if I do hashtag Kansas City makeover, hashtag kitchens in Kansas City, hashtag Kansas City, lake kitchen remodel, like, again, you're not going to get millions of people searching for that, but you're going to get the ones that are important and the ones that really want to find you. Those are the gems. That's the importance of the hashtags and not being so broad. Hashtag real estate, like, okay, you and a million other people today.
$1 million listings.
So Robert's asking a really interesting question about hashtags, which I think is helpful, I think, for all of us. So what you just said, so if we said real estate kitchens, Kansas City, as an example, someone would go into Instagram, a potential buyer, right? And they would type those words in. Am I correct about this? And then once they type those words in, if Robert had made a post about that, his post about that topic would pop up in their feed. Is that correct? Am I right about that?
There's a few ways. You can search for a hashtag that you want, right? You can also follow hashtags. If you have, if you maybe know that you're gonna redo your kitchen and you want, kitchen makeovers, you can follow that hashtag so that when you're scrolling in your feed, any kitchen makeover post you see. However, how it works is that in the Explore tab, when Instagram knows that you're based in Kansas City, they will show you the photos and posts that they want you to see. So by using that hashtag, you're also tapping into the community that you're around, so that they can find you in the Explore tab.
So the simplest definition is the higher the definition of the tag, the more likely someone that's really interested in that particular topic will find you. Is that the simplest way to say it?
Correct.
Okay, I think that's important distinction.
And simplify it even more, right? The hashtags, you can go in the search field, which people do all the time on Instagram, right? As opposed to, say, a Facebook. Instagram search is used quite often. You can people search for, home makeovers in Kansas City, right? That'll come up. Or what Tomasetti said, in the Explore tab, in the more local, Explore is kind of like that local area where Instagram pulls up, kind of more local content or stuff more relevant, they think, to you. So two ways how hashtags work. And that's a big difference. Right, and trending. That's the difference between like a Facebook is that, you don't use the search all that much in Facebook, but in Instagram they do. And that's how you show up in search, is through your hashtags.
Gotcha. So the tighter the tag to the actual content of the post, and the more geographically local it is, the better it is for people that you want to work with in your local sphere would find you. Is that a fair statement?
I would say that's true. You don't want to get so granular where it's, Kansas City, real estate, Oak Tree Lane, but you want to kind of maybe have it open, but still maybe not so narrow that it's just only 2 people are going to see it. So it's finding that balance.
Okay, and Gwen has a question, and I think I know the answer, but I'd love to hear you guys answer on this. If you use a hashtag, does Facebook also pick it up?
Well, so you have to understand with Instagram, right? You're only posting to Instagram. If you have a business page on Facebook as well, there is a way for you to share the content. But if you're using a hashtag, the hashtag functionality really is most powerful on Instagram, and that's what it's designed for. Because like Michael Glazer was mentioning there, the hashtags are not as big of a searchable feature on Facebook like they would be through Instagram.
Gotcha. Okay. There's a lot.
I don't think they cross pollinate hashtags. Like you can't search.
I think it's two separate, even though it's owned by Facebook, it's still a separate platform, I believe, right?
Right.
Jerry says, this seems like a really disorganized, unstrategized method of business development on social media. It isn't necessarily, but I can see why you might feel that way. What do you guys say to that question?
Well, if you are interested, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you want to advertise, you want to brand yourself and be in front of the right people, right? And so this is how many people do it, right? This is everybody's online, especially today. I think traffic's up, about 200% on Facebook is my last read. So, you can still do billboards, you can still do magazines and postcards. They are fine, nothing wrong with them. But on a cost per thousand, the social media angle is the greatest, advertisement way to branding, I think, ever. It's insane.
And you're right, Jerry. Anything in social media is much more of a black hole to be, as someone that's done marketing, quote, traditional marketing, right? You put an email blast out, you know who it goes to, you know who clicks on it. It's very one-to-one, whereas social media is much more of a web, right? Where one person might like it and they send it to someone else, and the next thing you know, there's people that are finding you that you never knew could find you before. So
but
it's
the potential there to reach so many more people is larger than it would be if you were
it's just harder to put your arms around it because you never know exactly where it's going to go. It's not like if you're in control of pushing a postcard out, you know exactly which households it's going to, right? Doesn't necessarily mean it's creating engagement in all those households, but you at least know where it went. With social media, it has a much potential larger reach, but it's not as black and white. That's the key difference, right? But they're both really helpful, and I agree with these guys that if you can figure out a way to get engagement on these platforms, you're going to have a much larger reach than you're ever going to have in something that you control the entire bit of distribution. Because that postcard is going to one household and it's staying in that household. It's not going anywhere else. Whereas this stuff can go, God only knows, can go all over the world for that matter, and it does.
Right.
It does seem like a black hole, but I mean, it can, if you're good at it, can be a science. I mean, a postcard sent to a house, and you don't know what happens to that postcard. My message gets sent out, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. I don't know what's going to happen to my message. So, again, on the social media front, it's like you're talking to an audience. Say you're in front of 100 people. Here's your message. Here's what you're saying, and you don't know when those 100 people leave what they're going to do. They're going to ignore you. They're going to throw something in the trash, or they're going to tell their friends. And so you could apply the same metrics to online marketing. It's just you got to be a bit more. Just got to be focused. Got to be focused on it, right? And I understand it's hard to be focused because it's a new technology. I get it's hard. It's hard to do everything great. You're selling real estate.
Right. That's why, again, we hire people like these guys that know what they're talking about. So Jen Bushell has a really interesting question too. She said, how do people respond to you through Instagram?
So the way people respond on Instagram are a few ways, right? The most apparent one is comments. Someone comments on a post just like on Facebook, right? And you can respond directly to them. You also have direct messages. So the direct messages is like the little looks like a paper airplane in the top right corner. If you click on that, you get direct messages for people you can chat privately. So those are the top two ways. People can also tag you in posts too, and share your content. So those are the ways that people engage with you on Instagram.
Crystal has another question. So I often find beautiful pictures on IG and would love to share them on my IG, but I'm uncertain if and how I can do this. For instance, if I find a beautiful kitchen pic, I may want to pose a question with my followers to get some engagements. Number one, can I borrow other people's posts? And two, if so, how do I do that?
Number one, yes, you can. You can absolutely borrow the post as long as you give credit. So that's part of the joy and beauty of Instagram, right? And social media. You have something called fair use, which allows you to share anything on social media as long as you give reference to it. So the easiest way to do that, probably the easiest way to do it, is on Instagram is to simply screenshot what you see and then upload it. However, there are some third-party apps as well that you can use to essentially what they call regram, where it's almost like a retweet, right? So you're finding the post that you want, you use the regram app, and then you post that on your profile.
Gotcha. And Philip's asking, can you tag yourself in a post, or should you?
Why? I mean, yes, but if they're already on your page, your profile, I don't think you need to do that.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, good. Well, this stuff
Um,
is fascinating. So let's go. Let's keep going. We could be here for days. I think you need to do an Instagram training session. This is just like, you know, this is just the tip of the iceberg here, but it's fascinating stuff. So let's talk. I think we kind of talked about this a little bit, but is there anything you want to add to what kind of content we should post?
So we're talking about stories now, which we could even do a whole webinar on that. But stories are smaller video and photo-based posts that are sort of quick snapshots. You have 14 seconds with a video, with a photo, you have about 5 to 7 seconds. And I think some great things to include could be a feature, right? Or it could be teasers to new listings, behind the scenes, Q&A prompts. You can ask a poll, you can post some stickers on there, you can be really creative with what you put on there, design, maintenance tips, and so forth. But it's a quick snapshot of who you are, maybe something interesting that you saw in a home or house, or maybe a quick 14-second video of you talking to your community.
So Peter asked, are live posts better than canned posts? I assume you mean Instagram Live, Peter. And then, go ahead.
In terms of better, I'm not sure, but because it depends on what you're talking about. But the one thing that I can say about live is Instagram does give preference to it. It will appear if you're scrolling on your phone. And I wish we could do a screen share next time, but I could show you. But if you're scrolling on your phone, you'll see these lives appear at the top left. So they're the most immediate. Anyone you're following, live's going to get the prominence there.
Got it. Okay. And IGTV, Jen asked about that. What's your guys feeling about using IGTV?
So IGTV is awesome because if you post a video on Instagram, you only have 1 minute to appear in the feed. But with Instagram or IGTV, you have 15 minutes. So if you have a longer video, maybe that is a virtual open house or virtual tour of some kind, or maybe I'm trying to think of another video, maybe a image of kitchen makeover. We'll talk about that. You can, in the feed, it'll show a minute of the video, and then by clicking IGTV, it'll take you over so that you can, someone can watch the video in its entirety.
That's great. So if you've spent the money for like a 3D tour or something like that, you can put it in IGTV and get another place to get exposure for it.
Yep, and then use those hashtags, right? Do everything that we talked about before, ask a question, use emojis, and use that to get some more visibility on the post.
Jerry says that he's heard that to use IGTV, you need 10,000 followers minimum. Is that true?
No. You might be thinking of putting like a link in a story. It used to be you needed 10,000 subscribers to be able to put a link in a story, but no, anyone can use IGTV.
Okay, good. Well, this has been so helpful. We probably created 10,000 more questions for people that are listening. You guys know so much about this. It's just, I could go on and on. I love this topic. It's so fun.
I do want to share here, Marilyn, maybe just with everyone, we've created I know we'll talk about us too, but we have some Instagram giveaways for everyone here too. There's some posts, real estate hashtag library, an ebook, just to kind of follow up on a lot of the things that we talked about. So that's free for everyone that attended.
Where's the ebook,
So
Tom? How do they get the ebooks?
So I sent the link here to you, Marilyn. I know it says just organizers.
Let me post it. Yep. Or Michael, can you grab that and post it? The other Michael.
Maybe tell them what's in that link, because there's a lot of great things in that link. It's pretty cool.
Sure.
I got it.
Oh, okay, awesome. So if you click on that link, you're going to get some posts for Instagram content that you can repurpose and use immediately. You have some Instagram story templates that you can upload, and you have some video posts that we've thrown in, made by yours truly. Some highlight covers, which we did not talk about, but I can go into that if you do have questions. And then an ebook, so you can read and kind of get some more information about everything we've gone over here, and even stuff we didn't cover. And then a real estate hashtag library that you can use, simply copy and paste, maybe to make those modifications like we said, and then you can incorporate those in your posts. A lot of great stuff there.
Yeah, all free resources. Guys, use at your leisure. It's yours. So again, it's a lot of really great stuff. A lot of work went into it. Instagram's a great place, so I highly recommend it. And for those of you, individual agents or brokerages, for all your agents, if you have an interest, give us a shout at hey@backatyou.com. So,
yeah, I would
that's
highly
it.
recommend those that were asking questions today, use that hey@backatyou.com, because you have a lot of great questions. I didn't get to all of them, and these guys are the experts. So also tell us about this $100 off offer that we've got on the screen.
Well, for those of you that are, looking for help immediately, there's a company that I know really well that does it. It's called Back At You. It's us.
Okay,
And we are a full service social media company. So we create automated posts, and they're both videos, blogs, links, and the lead gen. We automatically post your listings. We can advertise your listings. It's a full, complete service. And that's kind of what we're offering. You can go to we have a conference page. It's really not set up for this, but there's already some great discounts, so want to offer it. Or if you just really want to talk to someone and get a demo, just email us as well. So we're there for you as individual agents, as a tire brokerage. We work with a lot of big companies. And by the way, maybe if we, Marilyn, maybe another time, but we have also some sample pages on Instagram, not ours, but just other agents' pages that we're prepared to go through and highlight what they're doing, what's cool, and some good examples for everybody to see.
I think we should have them back. What does the audience think? I love you guys. I think you should come back and do more of this, because it's just, like you say, we just touched the tip of the iceberg.
Part two. Yeah, totally. I love that. If we want to do maybe some explainers and kind of what works with other pages, I think that'd be an awesome way to do it.
Crystal says yes. She needs help.
And we have open house virtual tours rolling out in the next week. So that'll be our next big announcement. So we can show some Instagram examples, and then we can show you, hey, for those of you that want to do virtual open houses, we have a whole flow that's been built for the last 4 to 6 weeks that we're rolling out that I'm super excited about too.
Okay, it's official. You're invited back.
All right, yay.
So I want to just remind the audience what we've got coming up later this week. Tomorrow we've got Ryan Hartman from the VP of Marketplace and Engagement at Inside Real Estate, and he's going to show us a multi-channel marketing approach that gets prospects chasing you. That sounds great, doesn't it? Instead of you chasing them. And then on Friday, we've got Dan Stewart from Happy Grasshopper. They're a great direct marketing firm. And he's going to show us basically the messaging, the right things that we should be saying right now. Yeah, I've just got a whole bunch of people saying, yes, 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 we need you to come back. So you guys are in. You're very awesome. Popular with our audience. So the links to these two upcoming ones, I think, are they in there right now? I don't know if they are, but we'll be sending these out. And we'll include some of those links that Michael and Michael have built for you in our follow-up email, so keep an eye out for that when you get it. Also wanted to remind anybody, if you want to sign up automatically for these upcoming coffee chats, so we'll just sign you up for every one of them, and then you can just decide if you want to attend, so you don't have to worry about missing any of them. Put your email in the question box and we'll get that for you. We'll get you hooked up with that. And then finally, we wanted to remind you that our eTechnology Inc. is our YouTube channel, and all of the coffee chats recordings and other webinars are recorded there. So just hit the subscribe under RE Technology Inc. and then the little bell next to it, make sure that's solid, and that will mean that you'll get notified every time we publish a new recording, so you won't miss any of these great conversations. Also, if you don't yet have it, we want to offer you a three-month subscription to RE Technology. Just go to retechnology.com. Go to the top right-hand side. You'll see a small thing that says Create Account. Go there. Click the monthly option and then use one of these codes, and you will be able to get this for free. But before you do that, make sure you check with your MLS, because many of them work with us already and offer this $200 a year program for you free of charge, because you're lucky enough to be one of their members. So make sure you do that before you end up re-subscribing with us. So with that, we'll tune out today. Again, thank you, Michael and Michael. This was awesome. Really exciting.
I did go ahead and share that link, so the new one that I shared you should work. So if you're still here, you can click on that.
Okay. Yeah, let me grab that. We'll put this out for everyone, and we'll include that also in our follow-up notes, so everyone will get it. There you go.
Okay.
So if you want to take that, that's got all kinds of great resources to learn about Instagram and a whole bunch of other things related to social media. And again, if you feel like this is something you want to do but don't have your own wherewithal to do it, just reach out to hey@becketu.com, and these guys will help you out. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, Michael and Michael, and we'll get off the phone. We'll figure out another time to get you back so we can keep learning more about all this great stuff with social media.
Sounds great.
Hey,
Awesome.
everybody.
So much.
See you
Okay,
tomorrow
thank
morning.
you. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.